Welcome back to another episode of Mafia Family Ties, presented by William Matar Law. With me today, I have Mike Bundt of Trainwreck Sports. Mike, thank you so much for joining.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Excited to be here.
Yeah, good stuff. Let's just jump right into it. Being a Bills fan growing up, what was that like?
Being a Bills fan is my life. Introduced to the team young age. I think I was already diehard by the time I was 7, 8 years old. Remember the Flutie Johnson days, and grew up thinking this team is going to be good. They're always going to be good. That's the way it is in Buffalo. And then, of course, historic drought started. So as a kid, rooting on a team that had 17 straight years of not missing the playoffs, a lot of misery, a lot of sadness. But I think that's what makes me so passionate, is going through the bad times makes the good times that much better.
Yeah, absolutely. So how do you think it compares to now, growing up as, you know, that situation?
Yeah, so now is obviously a lot more fun. Winning is good, but it's funny because expectations also change the way you view the team. When you knew they were going to be bad, an 8-9 win season, you're like, hey guys, we're coming right now. We're ready to show people what we're capable of. Now we're to the point where the regular season really doesn't feel like it has a ton of value. You go into every season knowing, okay, you have Josh Allen, you're going to make the playoffs. Can this be the year we finally make a run and maybe end this title drought? So I would say it's more fun having the wins, but there's also more pressure, more stress, and more of a letdown when it doesn't ultimately lead to a title.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. It feels like the entire regular season, and we'll even include the wild card round, like everything football is just a preamble to the divisional round, which you better win, and then it's the conference championship. Like that's as soon as September kicks off, we're looking at the end of, for crying out loud, they beat the Ravens week 1. You're like, all right, this is probably going to play a role in, you know, how the playoffs seed out. And then obviously we saw how that happened, but yeah, good point. So a lot of things have changed, but fandom, what are some things of Bills Mafia that you think will never change?
Oh, just the passion, the tailgating, and the party atmosphere. I know they're moving into the new stadium. People are afraid that might go away a little bit. There's no chance that's leaving. You already have over 50,000 season ticket holders. Most of the people that were already in the old building. It's always going to be crazy at one Bills drive before a game, as far as people having fun, people partying, and all of that. And just small town community feel. Like it's just different when you are a small town versus a big city. And this fan base is always going to be crazy into the team. And that's part of why I love being a Bills fan.
Speaking of differences, I don't know if you're aware, the local hockey team is doing pretty well. So what are some differences between Sabres fandom and Bills fandom? Obviously, they overlap. So many of us are fans of both teams, obviously. But what are some differences that you see in how that fandom is expressed with the respective teams?
So if you would have said this 5 years ago, I would have said Sabres fans a lot more negative, a lot more critical of their team. But I think we've seen a little bit of that flip-flop. Obviously, the Sabres are winning. People are now on the excited side of things. And with the Bills not bringing home titles and making some changes, I think now the Bills fans are a little bit more critical. My biggest difference, I think, Sabres fandom and Bills fandom is that Sabres fandom is hyper local. Like you're talking about mostly people in the Buffalo area. Yes, it extends to Rochester. And when you see a road game, there will be fans in other cities. But almost everybody that is a Sabres fan is most often a Bills fan. But not all Bills fans are Sabres fans. There's a lot of regional Bills fans, people that are Canadians that love the Maple Leafs or have their other team. There's Bills fans that were passed down generations that might live in Florida or North Carolina, maybe West Coast, and maybe they didn't follow the Sabres as much because hockey wasn't as big where they were living, or the losing of the Sabres over the years might have gotten them out of it. So I think Sabres, you got to be Buffalo. Bills, I think it's all over the country. It's a much broader group of people overall. And I think I don't want to really talk about the passion of both. I think obviously both are passionate, but Bills fans, maybe a little bit more unique group overall.
Yeah, and I think a lot of it might just be football versus hockey. Football runs the culture in this country, and like you mentioned, hockey can be a lot more regional in that respect. But that said, as we've been doing more and more Sabres merchandise at 26 Shirts, I'm seeing people from all over the country order it. So I think it's just a little bit more, maybe it was a little bit more subdued than football, than their Bills fandom.
That would make sense. I mean, everybody likes a winner. And when you miss the playoffs for 14 straight years, it's hard to really be passionate and show pride. We all know that when Buffalo has a winning team, we put all of our support behind it, whether it's the Bills, the Sabres, the Bandits, any level of sport in Buffalo. If you win, you will have support. So in a way, I think the Sabres were kind of just a ticking time bomb. It was just a matter of time before they started winning and people fully got behind them. And right now, they're not just good, they're division champs, and that's a rarity in sports. So I was at the game against Dallas, and the amount of people buying merchandise and everything, it was absolutely insane.
Yeah. And it's they always use the term like the team is a wagon, but I don't think it's a bandwagon thing with most fans, because I'll speak for myself. Like, I love the Sabres. It's just been a very difficult 14 years. Like that love never left. In fact, the frustration and the anger, or whatever you want to call it, sadness, that all stems from how much I love the team.
I see a lot of that. You know what? And that's what a lot of fans in other markets, I think, don't understand about Buffalo. They look at the attendance numbers post-COVID and they say, well, how much do you guys really care? You didn't support the team. Your numbers were bad. I didn't see you guys talking about the team. All you're doing is hating on the team for all these years. But they don't look at it as that was already close to a decade at that point of losing. We supported them through a tank where we were actively saying, we're okay with you guys intentionally losing if it gets us a Jack Eichel and a Sam Reinhart. And then there was years of Jack and Reinhart where the losing just continued, and they weren't even giving hope of playoffs during those years. Like, they weren't even in the conversation. So, and the Sabres would still get 18,000 a night, 18,500 a night. And I think COVID just was the final straw where you trade Jack, you trade Sam, you know the team is rebuilding. A quarter of your base can't even go to games because they're north of the border. And it was at a point where I think everybody reached their mental breaking point. And the first sign of them showing success, everybody's back on board. To me, you cannot say that's bandwagon at all. It's just a base that was just ready to pounce, and they just needed that little bit of evidence that this wasn't a fluke, because how many times have we been fooled in the past by a 10-game winning streak or the 91-point team 3 years ago? We just needed a little bit more than what you normally have in right now, the TV ratings, the attendance, the support, everything, merchandise sales. It shows we're one of the most passionate fan bases in the league. Yeah,
you mentioned the tank. I'll never forget playing the Coyotes at that end of the season. The entire stadium filled with howls, and it was not Coyotes fans doing it. So, all right, so switching back to the Bills a little bit, do you have a favorite Bills memory from growing up?
God, there's so many heartbreaking memories. It's hard to, when I'm young, it's tough to talk about the good ones just because there was so much losing over the years. Most of my good memories are from the Josh Allen days and stuff like that. I would say, if you had to say from childhood era, it would have been the 6-game winning streak during 2004 when they had Drew Bledsoe at quarterback, because they started that year 0-4. You knew that they had potential, but it just felt like they were wasting that season away. They get hot. The defense had guys like Keo Spikes and Lawyer Malloy and Sam Adams and all those types of players. Offensively, Drew Bledsoe. You had Lee Evans, Eric Moulds, I still think was on that team in 2004. And they get hot. They're killing opponents. And they're one of those teams where if they make the playoffs, you don't want to play the Buffalo Bills. And that was probably the most fun I had with the Bills during the drought period. And I still tell people, if that team would have found a way to sneak in, they could have been dangerous, but unfortunately didn't make it.
We'll never know. Now, with your role at Trainwreck, you have the opportunity to make content about both teams, the Bills and the Sabres. Talk a little bit about that. What's that like?
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. My dream growing up was always to cover the Bills or the Sabres in some capacity and really just engage with people. When I was young, I wanted to create websites just so I could write about them. And now, obviously, with social media, you can have an opinion on anything and people will engage back and forth with you. I love it. Trainwreck's an amazing platform. We have a huge base of people that interact with us on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, TikTok. And basically my post-game videos are a great way for me to kind of vent, get my feelings out there in a minute or so and just see how people feel. And if they agree with me, if they don't, but just kind of talk about it and have some fun with it. And there's nothing else I would rather do than talk Bills football, Sabres hockey. I'd do that stuff 24/7 if I could.
Good stuff. So do you have a favorite post-game video that you've done?
Favorite one was probably when we beat Baltimore in the playoffs because the second time, the most recent, because I didn't believe the Bills were going to be able to get that win. And there was such a relief factor in it. The Ravens were kind of coming back late, obviously the 2-point conversion, and just so much excitement in that moment. I truly believed at that point in time we had a chance at winning a Super Bowl. So that was probably my favorite one to actually record.
Yeah, we're just a failed tush push away from possibly going to that Super Bowl. So, so you've worked in traditional media, and now you're doing Trainwreck, which is newer media. Compare and contrast a little bit for me.
Yeah, so traditional media, a lot of fun, loved it, but it's definitely a job. Being a sports anchor is not just going on TV for 3 minutes and reading the news. What I did, I would film all my own highlights. I would write every story. I would edit things. I'd produce shows. A lot of fun, but a lot of work involved, and still have a passion for it. If somebody wanted to call me and be like, hey, we want you to be a sports anchor covering the Buffalo Bills, I'd still go back to that in a second. The non-traditional side, though, the Trainwreck, that's where you get your personality involved. You're kind of limited in the regular media where you can't be extreme unless you're on like network TV like ESPN or Fox Sports and stuff. You have to be measured. Non-traditional like Trainwreck, I can just be myself. I can say whatever I want within reason, and it's all fun. Guys like Gatesy, Maniac, Donnie, all of us, buddies AJ, Carson Hank, we let the personalities out, and that's the fun part about the non-traditional, because what people want to see on Instagram and Twitter is different than what they want to see on the 11 o'clock news. So definitely two different sides that you bring to the table.
Is there one game that you just can't get out of your head, whether it was during your traditional media time or now, or just in general? Is there a loss that you just can't get out of your head?
Well, I think we all have the same one in our minds.
I got like 15, but
yeah. 13 seconds is obviously number one. But I would have to say the last three are right up there too in the playoffs. The Denver loss and then the two other KC losses most recently. The Denver loss hurt because typically in the playoffs you can blame it on the defense. And this was one of those. The Denver loss hurt a lot because I think you could blame every aspect of the team. And if just one aspect was slightly better, they win. Typically, it's Josh Allen's perfect in the playoffs. He doesn't lose you the game. It's the defense. The Denver loss, Josh has 4 turnovers. But then again, the defense has a lead that they can't protect in the final minutes. You could bring up coaching, letting Josh be aggressive going into halftime, which is a low probability of scoring, and then it results in points for Denver. Every aspect of the team had moments, and I don't think Denver really is that solid of a team. So to lose to what I believe is the most inferior team the Bills have lost to in the playoffs over the last 5+ years, that was frustrating because had Buffalo taken on New England, I believe they would have been in the Super Bowl, and I believe they would have given Seattle a much better game than what the Patriots gave them.
Yeah, that was a low bar.
Very low bar. Very low bar.
That's a tough matchup with the Seahawks, but they definitely would have given them a better run for sure. You mentioned 13 seconds. What happens if they win that game?
They probably win the Super Bowl. Now, the one unknown is how would the Bills have matched up against Cincy? We know the games in years later weren't pretty against the Bengals, but that Bengals team wasn't quite at that level yet, in my opinion. home in Buffalo, I believe Buffalo would have gone to the Super Bowl, but we'll never know. And it stinks because that was the year out of all the seasons with Josh where they were clicking. That was the best they have ever looked, and they just gave it away.
Yeah, they lost that game to Tampa in the regular season, and they didn't look back. It felt like. Anyway, moving on. All right, so you've worked in different forms of media. You've grown up a fan. How has your fandom changed, or has it changed as you've started to do this professionally?
Honestly, I don't think my fandom has really changed that much at all. I've been a super fan since I was young, but I'll say this. I'm super passionate about the team, but I try to be as realistic about them as possible. So even when they're getting hot, I'm not saying, oh, this is the year they're winning the Super Bowl. And I respect people that are like that. Everybody can fan however they want to fan. I think, if anything, doing media has just made me be maybe a little bit more critical of them, where when I'm looking at the team when I was young, I'd be like, well, this 7-9 team might go 10-6 this year, and maybe they can make the playoffs. Now we're coming off a bad season. I'm like, well, they're going to have to get this addition. They're going to have to do this right. It's going to be a lot harder than to flip than just a simple move or two. So maybe a little bit smarter of a Bills fan now than what I was 10, 15 years ago. But as far as like how I watch the team and everything, it's the same exact thing. I know there's some media people that will say, once they cover the team or once they're in the media, that they're no longer a fan and they're more objective. Maybe that's the case with some people.
I could never do it. I love that job, but I could never do that.
I don't know if I completely buy the whole releasing your fandom. I covered sports on a professional basis. I still had my slight slants, and I think that's human. Mm-hmm. I think to pretend like that doesn't exist is kind of making things up a little bit. So
yeah, I can't imagine like one day just because I got employment somewhere, now all of a sudden like I'm not a fan of this team that I've cheered for since I was a toddler.
Yeah, know? like where is the flip, the switch that you can just instantly flip that off? I personally, for me, that doesn't exist, but for some people it might be different. Yeah.
Do you have any traditions or superstitions as a fan that you've maybe even carried through into this career?
Oh God, there's some weird superstitions. I've actually told myself a year ago that I'm not doing the superstitions anymore. I'm just going to let things play out. I think the weirdest superstitions I have is that I cannot listen to Journey or Michael Bolton during the week. If either of those are on, I will instantly change the station. If it's a commercial on TV, I'm changing it. If I hear, I don't know, I'm telling you, if I hear a Journey song during the week of the Bills, they lose. So, and that's hard because they are obviously.
Yeah. What about, where's Michael Bolton come from?
I don't know. That was just a random one. Like, I don't know. I think I was on like vacation one year and one of his songs popped up, and like, I'm not even like a massive like Michael Bolton song, but like I just connected.
Oh, you're putting out huge Bolton vibes right now. I can tell you're a super fan. So just being real.
Even if I wasn't going to acknowledge acknowledge that. But that would probably be the one superstition. Then the other weird superstition is if I'm watching a game at home, whatever direction the Bills are going, if I'm like sitting on a couch, I'll have my foot like crossed, so leading them the right way. But
so quarters change and you're like,
yeah, quarters change. Yeah. I flip flop the foot, and I can't tell you that it's had 100% success rate, but mentally it's still. You
gotta log it, man. You gotta find some way, like either get get a foot cam or something. No, that sounds bad.
Yeah, don't tell Rex Ryan.
But find some way so he can track it. You know what I mean? It's just like, all right, this year I did this well on this.
Well, this is where it gets bad. Then sometimes I'm like, well, what if the superstitions flip flop? Like maybe this was a year I don't listen to Journey, but then the next year I'm supposed to listen to Journey. It's a bad path. That's why I've gone down the just don't have any.
Can you try it out during like preseason? Can you kind of like get a feel for it like before a preseason game?
I don't care enough about the preseason, but yeah. I will say 2 years ago I told myself I wasn't doing it, and then me and a coworker, she started drinking like tea and I would drink like high seas during a game, and it led to a lot of success. The issue
led
is
to a lot of success. Sorry, it's kind of funny, like it was working.
so I know and I know that they have no impact, but mentally I can't get past
that's what's fun about fanhood. Is just we're doing this because it's fun.
100%.
That was great. Led to a lot of success. Thank you for your service. Good stuff. A Bills game, home and away. What's that day look like for you?
Yeah, so a home game. Assuming it's like a 1 o'clock game, because that's the best time for them to play. Waking up normally like 7:30, 8 o'clock, getting the grill in the car, getting everything ready to go, driving to the stadium, getting the tailgate set up, and then just kind of relaxing. I'm not a crazy tailgater. I'm not going to pretend like I'm the life of the party or anything. Season tickets with my wife. We had them with my sister or her boyfriend in the past. So whoever wants to chill with us, always welcome. Get the grill going, have a few beers, and just honestly relaxing. Because if I'm not relaxing, then I'm too uptight thinking about all of what could happen in the game. I stressed a little bit too much. So when I was younger, I would have like a pit in my stomach, like what's going to happen today? But just get a couple beers, relax, and then just taking the game.
Little self-medication.
Yeah, little self-medication, then just taking the game and enjoy it and hope for the best.
The stadium that we just closed, a lot of different eras that have gone on. Is there one that sticks out to you as a favorite? Maybe not even necessarily one that had a lot of winning, but your favorite era of going to the stadium?
The easy answer would be the Josh Allen era, but I had a lot of fun as a kid going to the games, even when they weren't a great team. There's just something special when you're young and everything is new experiences. I loved when the parking lot was still like rocks and stones and they didn't have lines, and it was just a different time. Like you could do more. It was kind of like sometimes it would look like a war zone, but it would be
some of those lots still look that way.
It was just a great time. I would say the Bledsoe years were a lot of fun for me. Even the stuff before that, just because it was my introduction to football. But if we're talking about going to the games in recent times, nothing beats watching Josh Allen play football. You're going to see something every game that you might not have ever seen before. And there's something to that. It's not watching Trent Edwards check it down. Nothing against Trent. Like
I have an Edwards jersey at home. I actually wore it to a game this past year.
Hey, more power to you. But yeah, the childhood games were definitely the special ones, because my uncle would take me to one game a year for my birthday. And
cool uncle.
Very cool uncle. He had season tickets, and it was my way of, I always knew every year, like, what game am I going to? Like, this is going to be, and I always looked forward to it. So that always meant a lot to me.
No, that's good stuff. All right, so moving on to the new stadium. I'm sure you're pretty familiar with all the different amenities and what's waiting for us, this fall. If you could add one thing to what we understand about is going to be at the new stadium, what would you add?
That's a good question. Well, the easy answer would be a roof, but
depends who you talk to, right?
Yeah, it depends on who you talk to. The only thing I would have liked maybe a cooler looking design to the exterior of the stadium. But I love everything that they're doing with it. I really don't have too much of a critique with it. I think it's going to be 100 times more comfortable. If the wind reduction works as they say, it's going to be a lot better for fans in the lower bowl, 100%. I think the players are going to enjoy it more. The open concourses are going to be amazing. And we all loved the Ralph and Old Highmark Stadium, but the one thing, it was outdated. We're going to have all of the modern amenities, and I know some people are going to say, well, the outdatedness was what brought the charm to the Ralph, and I respect that, but I'm definitely going to enjoy having some modern amenities at the Bills' new stadium. I can't wait. I was always a proponent that the Bills needed a new stadium, and a lot of people disagreed with me on it. But my reason for it was I knew deep down, if you got a new stadium, the Bills would stay in Buffalo for another 30 years.
100%.
And being young, that's the only thing I ever cared about, was making sure this team is always in my hometown. And to have that, that's the only thing I really care about.
Yeah, I think we so quickly forget about that. Like all the years before Pagula, like there was always that cloud hanging over the team. Like, are they going to stay here? Or like when my kids were little, are my kids going to have a football team, with their hometown and everything? And we're very blessed now to have that guarantee. Sticking with the new stadium, did you get seats in the new building?
I did. Yeah, I have seats in the 300s corner end zone. So they dip down. Actually, the end zone 300s dip down lower on the one side. So it's going to feel like 200s, but technically in the threes. I'm pumped. Yeah. My tickets, luckily for me, were not on the crazy side of things. So being able to get in the new stadium and actually be able to afford it was a blessing, because I was honestly concerned. I was like, what if they price me out? I can only afford so much, but we did the process and it all worked out for us. Yeah,
I mean, there was so much talk a year and a half, 2 years ago, whenever the whole PSL conversation started coming, and there was so much fear, because you heard about like, oh, they want this much when they're talking about the suites and these premier seats. But when it came down to us, like, I mean, obviously we prefer no PSLs, but when it came down to us, we were like, all right, we can swing this, So that's that. Yeah, I'll be there too. So yeah. Okay, so let's get into some fun stuff here. You have, I don't know if you've interviewed Josh Allen before or explain to me that exchange.
Yeah, so press conference. So technically not like a one-on-one or anything like that, but the Bills have credentialed me for training camp 2 years in a row now. And a couple years ago, one of the practices we were at just so happened to be when Josh was speaking afterwards. And it's funny, like former reporter, sports anchor, like I've asked questions to many influential people before, but nobody such like Josh Allen, like a quarterback on the team I root for, a star. And I was quiet for like the first 5 minutes. I was letting all the experience beat reporters get their questions in. And I was like, I just have to ask something. I can't be here with this opportunity not ask something. So eventually I got the guts. I asked it. I was probably blushing, probably red in the face, looking like an amateur. But yeah, got to ask him a question. He gave a great answer. And still something I talk to friends and family to this day, just because they're like, you actually got to ask him something. I'm like, yes. So that was a cool thing.
Are you going to make me ask you what the question was and what his answer was?
So it was a little bit wordy, but the question basically was along the lines of, this was when Everyone Eats was just starting. But I was asking him along, how long does it take to build chemistry with a new group of receivers, and how do you spread the ball out and make sure that everybody's happy, along the lines of that. And he essentially said basically that training camp preseason, that's more than enough. You don't need a ton of time to get on the same page. And he won an MVP that year, so I guess he knew what he was doing.
He wasn't BSing you. All right, so my understanding is that you are aware of this tweet that Brayton Wilson put out probably 7-8 years ago about the psychic that called the station like 5 times in a row. You got a take on that?
100%. So me and Gatesy, who we both run the Crossing Swords pod, we've been talking about this tweet for a while now. Now, we were joking about this tweet when like the Sabres were looking horrible early in the year. And I mean, it has to be true at this point. Like, if you would have told anybody before the year that the Sabres would end their drought, most people would look at you crazy. And then it goes from that to setting a franchise record winning streak to winning a division crown. I think the signs are pointing to like this psychic is legitimate. This is happening. And that was only part of the tweet. There's another part about the Bills winning a Super Bowl. So I'm fully invested right now. And if this doesn't happen, it'll depress me, because I'm expecting 2 titles coming up.
Yeah, it's crazy. I don't know if I really believe. I don't believe in psychics, but
I didn't until this specific psychic.
Yeah, so I'm not there yet, but I think about that tweet a lot.
I'm just saying, like, to call in a Buffalo radio station in 2018 and know that the Sabres were just going to coincidentally get great 8 years from then, That's a bold thing. Like, think about it. At that point, we didn't even know if Josh Allen was going to pan out, and that involves the Super Bowl in 2027. So I'm just going to assume that this person might be a time traveler that has gone through.
Biff.
It's Biff and already knows.
Back in the future.
And if not, well, then I'm just going to go back to not believing in psychics.
Yeah, for sure. Well, we're going to know soon enough, right? We'll know soon enough. All right, so we're going to get into some wing talk brought to you by William Attire Law. Go-to wing spot?
My go-to is definitely, this is going to be the cliche answer, but it's Barbell in East Aurora, but not for the wing that everybody talks about. I like the Cajun honey butter barbecue, but I think the best wing they have there is the lemon pepper.
Okay.
Unreal. I love their lemon pepper there.
I don't think that's been brought up in the past. I mean, Barbell, like every other guest mentions Barbell, but I don't know if we've heard the lemon pepper.
Yeah, the lemon pepper is probably my favorite. And then if I had a couple other places, you got to obviously talk up 911. And then the Murph style at Potter's is really good too.
All right, I've not been there yet, so I'll have to add that to my list. What's the most wings you've put down or that you've seen been put down?
So I'm not a volume guy. I normally max out around 10 to like 12, but wing nights are definitely like a thing for me. Normally at least a couple times a month, me, my wife, a couple buddies, we get wings and we try to mix it up. So while Barbell is my go-to, I will go anywhere in Buffalo. And I am not one of those people that I'm not a wing snob. I know some people will be like, well, that place isn't that great. Like 95% of the places you go to Buffalo in Buffalo have a great wing that would kill most places outside of the city.
Yeah, it's more notable if a place has bad wings.
100%. Like if you have bad wings, I'm probably never going back to your place ever again.
Yeah, we all know those places. We all know those places. All right, Mike Bundt, Trainwreck Sports. Thank you so much for being a part of Mafia Family Ties. Appreciate you coming in and spending some time with me.
Yeah, glad to be here and appreciate the time.
Good stuff.